Well, hello again, and continuing on with our series of proof for Jesus. And this week I'd like to look at the Jewish historian Josephus. And in his 18th book of the Antiquities of the Jews, in the third chapter and the third paragraph, he has this to say. Now there was about this time Jesus, a wise man, if it be lawful to call him a man, for he was a doer of wonders, a teacher of such men as received the truth with pleasure. He drew many after him, both of the Jews and of the Gentiles. He was the Christ. When Pilate, at the suggestion of the principal men among us, had condemned him to the cross, those who loved him at the first did not forsake him, for he appeared to them alive again the third day, as the divine prophets had foretold these and 10,000 other wonderful things about him. And the tribe of Christians, so named from him, are not extinct at this day. And I've enclosed this under the video there, and you'll see that all the phrases that are capitalized are phrases that are doubted by scholars to have been in the original text. Also, the Arabic version, which is quite different. At this time there was a wise man called Jesus, and his conduct was good, and he was known to be virtuous. And many people from among the Jews and other nations became his disciples. Pilate condemned him to be crucified and to die, and those who had become his disciples did not abandon him. They reported that he had appeared to them 3 days after his crucifixion, and that he was alive. Accordingly, he may have been the Messiah, of whom the prophets have recounted wonders. Quite different. The first passage we're told he was the Christ. The Arabic version, he may have been the Christ. The first passage, he was alive after 3 days. The Arabic version, that the disciples reported that he had appeared to them alive. Quite a difference. But the question is this authentic testimony of Josephus? Is this something that a Jew would have said? Writing in a book for the purpose of which was to endear the people of Greece and Rome to the Jewish people. Now, Josephus was not a Christian. He never converted. He never believed that Jesus was the Christ. And we know that because Origen, twice in his writings, specifically states that Josephus did not believe that Jesus was the Christ. He did not believe that he was the Messiah. Why would he have written that he was the Christ? And it's also argued that if this was interpolated, in other words, that a Christian scribe snuck this in to the book, because you remember they were probably writing on scrolls, might have had just enough room down the end of a scroll there to put a small piece in this. But they argue that a Christian, if a Christian had written this, he would have written much more about Jesus. Well, that's true. If he were writing his own book, but not if he was pretending to be Josephus when he was interpolating this passage. And for a Jew to make all these major points, we can quickly go through them. But about this time, Jesus. So we've got the fact that he was here, that he was a wise man. Then they lead us to believe maybe he was divine, if it's lawful to call him a man, that he was a doer of wonders, in other words, that he did miracles, that he taught people, and that the people that he was teaching were people that received the truth with pleasure, that he drew many people after him, both Jews and non-Jews, that he was the Messiah. And then Pilate, at the suggestion of principal men among us, even that passage is brought into question, because Josephus always said principal men of the city, principal men of Jerusalem. He never, in any of his writings, said principal men among us. So even that passage can be questioned. But at the suggestion of these principal men, Pilate condemned him to the cross. Well, we're reading the Gospels the complete opposite. Pilate washed his hands of the matter. He said, take him. You read the story. He's got Barabbas, and he's got Jesus, and he asked the people to make a choice. And he releases Barabbas, and then he just hands over Jesus to the Jews. That's not what this passage says, so this passage doesn't even confirm the gospel tales. But then they go on, again, that he appeared to them alive on the third day. When this happened, and the fact that he did resurrect, and then they point out that all these things were foretold by the prophets, and 10,000 other wonderful things about Jesus were foretold by the prophets. And Josephus, knowing this, still rejected him as the Messiah. And then point out again that the tribe of Christians, and how did the Christians get their name? But from Jesus, and that they're still with us. So there's like more than a dozen theological points that are made in this small passage. Why would an unbelieving Jew make points like this? Let me continue this. This is going to take several parts. Thanks for bearing with us.